Okay, so if you guys remember, our last vlog ended with what you just saw. And for a lot of you, I'm sure it just came out of nowhere. For Lauren, actually, in the moment, it came out of nowhere. But that proposal was not as spontaneous as you might have thought and as Lauren thought originally. So what we kind of want to do with this video, it's a little bit different than the normal vlogs, but this is such an important sort of momentous moment in our relationship and in our future together. So we just wanted to sort of talk more about it because there's a huge story leading up to that moment. I was sort of in panic mode. Some things were not going quite right before what you saw. I'll let you talk though, but before we go into it,
we just want to say thank you for all of your kind words and your congratulations. It has meant the world to us, and it has been so fun to read them all. And we're still showing you very early on in our journey, but we are just blown away with all of the support that you guys have had through each week when we post a new video. Yeah, I mean, it sort of was like a cliffhanger in the video, but I mean, none of you, like every single person was sure that she said yes, so. You guys assumed, and here it is, by the way, my beautiful ring. Maybe we should start with before the trip, sort of maybe some of the reasons why you wouldn't have thought that going to Europe at some point to expect a proposal. Right, so obviously, and all of my friends and family kind of thought that it would happen because we were in Europe, obviously, and Paris is, you know, the city of love. But Brian and I had many conversations about what our future would look like, and we put all of our money into this trip. As you guys have been able to watch, it's not like we've had a ton of money. We've been staying in hostels. We're very conscious of what we had. So I was not expecting Brian to buy a ring. We were just like, financially, I didn't think that that was the case. And he had also kind of led me down a path where we would be moving to Colorado, which is where we are now. And that would be like the next chapter of our lives where we would get engaged. Yeah, many a conversation, sort of just sitting on the porch having coffee in the mornings when we lived in Nebraska. And we knew this trip was coming up about a year before we left for the trip though. As soon as everything was sort of finalized, we knew we were going to go. We knew that there were going to be multiple countries, and we sort of figured out what a lot of those countries would be. I told my family over Christmas of 2022, I basically told my family that I was going to propose to Lauren on the trip. And since I knew we'd be going to Paris, I figured Paris would be the place. So yeah, I purposely misled her. Every conversation we had, you know, I just was open with her and I said, I feel bad, but like, I don't want there to be any sort of expectation because, you know, we have to just focus like financially. We have this trip and then we have moving. And then the next stage, like Lauren said, would be marriage and kids and all of the rest of it. I just didn't want her to suspect because I'm very old fashioned. I'm not a big fan of like, let's go ring shopping and stuff when there's been no proposal, because then it's in her mind. She knows like, it's just a waiting game. Like, when is he gonna pop the question? I wanted her, in my ideal scenario, to have no idea whatsoever. And the fact that it got to be in Paris was hopefully just like, you know, the 1-2 punch of just surprise, and it did work out that way. But obviously it was a bit nerve-wracking because I knew I had like first of all, let's rewind. Sorry, this video is gonna be sort of all over the place. So going back before the trip, a few months, I went and I bought a ring, but knowing that we were going to go on this trip, I did not want to take the actual ring because I mean, that would just be way too nerve-wracking. Yeah. And I wouldn't want to risk losing it because we're, you know, all of the hostels that we stayed in, just all of the travel we had to do, the chances of losing it were quite high. So I also bought a sort of temporary ring, which is actually... It's the one on my middle finger. It's this one right here. Yeah. So I had that. I put it in my contact case. I had all my like spare contacts and I just, you know, put it in there just because I figured if Lauren has to go through my bags at any point, I did not want her to find a ring. That was another thing. I'm just glad she never had cause to go searching through my toiletry bag. But then when we left Kearney, as you guys know, we went to Wisconsin first to visit with Lauren's family, and that's where I got to speak with her dad, and I spoke with her mom as well. And he also called, I have two dads, so he called my other dad while we were in Paris to chat with him as well, yeah. Which meant all of my parents, and I think my brothers at that point knew too. Yeah, pretty much everybody knew,
except for you.
Yeah.
So coming to actually proposing though, what was really extra nerve-wracking for me was like, I thought Paris in my head, you know, I thought I wanted it somewhere with a good view of the Eiffel Tower, not on top of the Eiffel Tower. That was one, a bit too cliche in my mind, and two, because, well, you guys saw the video up there, like there would have been no...
And it was crowded. I wouldn't have wanted.
Yeah, I didn't, yeah.
I mean, I would have loved it, but
no.
It wasn't us, it didn't seem like
it. It needed to be, we need to be able to hear each other speaking for one. And yeah, I of course wouldn't want to pull out, you know.
Your phone.
Well, that was another thing too, yeah, because we doing these vlogs, and not even for the purposes of the vlogs, you know, but I still like wanted to film the moment if I could, to be able to show family and friends and things like that. So yeah, it had to be somewhere that was secluded enough or private enough where I could set up the phone and not just have somebody come and steal it, because obviously we would be sort of engaged with each other. Oh, that has two meanings. We'd be engaged, you know, engaged speaking to one another. I wouldn't be paying attention to it, so I needed to feel that it was safe. So there were a lot of factors. But another big thing, of course, is that if we had gotten to Paris and we were having bad experiences, or if the city didn't click with us, if we were hating it, I wouldn't have wanted to propose there. And so I would have just, I guess, had to find like the next big city that we really enjoyed, try to find a special moment there.
But it turned out that we loved Paris, and it was so much more than we ever could have thought. So it was perfect, and it was our last night in Paris too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it helped too that we had like something planned after, so it felt very celebratory. But leading up to the moment now, what you guys saw in the video that we were up in Montmartre, and we spent the day there. I had been sort of on Reddit and other places trying to find like best places with views of the Eiffel Tower, because I was trying to find like the spot, doing some research that week leading up to it. And originally at the end of the video, you see from up there, there's a spot where you can see the Eiffel Tower sparkle. Earlier in the day, I thought that might be the spot. Unfortunately, about 50 people had the same idea that we did of let's go down and watch the Eiffel Tower sparkle from this location. So that was out. So I was sort of panicking because I knew that we had a few hours until we were gonna go to Crazy Horse, the show that we went to. And I really didn't have a solid plan. You know, it's very hard to just, we didn't know the exact days we would be in Paris, so I couldn't just like have some moment perfectly like set to do this. I was just gonna try to do it off the cuff, find a good spot. I thought I've got all day, like surely I'll find a good location that not a lot of people are hanging around, but it didn't work out that way. So we got on the metro and we just happened to get off at that stop near Place de la Concorde.
And the point is for us, at least from my perspective, I obviously didn't know he was gonna propose, but we had spent a lot of time in Montmartre. Can you say it? We had spent a lot of time in
Montmartre.
And we were like, okay, let's head into more of like the main kind of city area where we would eventually go to Crazy Horse, probably get dinner, and then just kind of be in that general area. And it was just lucky, like super lucky that we got off at the stop right outside of Champs-Elysees. Right? That's
please excuse her.
I'm trying my best.
I know we have a lot of like new French viewers, by the way. Thank you to all of you. Merci à vous.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
He took French, I didn't. But
right.
So we got off at the stop, and immediately Brian is like, let's go. There's the garden, and we'll put the actual name of it here because I can't recall.
Yeah, I don't really know the exact pronunciation, but yeah, we just kind of like turned left and looked up, and there was this garden area. There was this high wall, and there were two people standing there, but nobody else was around. And I thought, this is perfect. If we can just get inside and go up on this wall, I think this will be good. Because literally, I mean, you have like all of, like she said, it's near Avenue des Champs-Elysees, it's Place de la Concorde, like the Eiffel Tower in the background. You look behind you and you can see like, it was the Ferris wheel lit up and everything. So it was like this perfect location all around, just beautiful landmarks. The Seine is right down there.
Right.
So it almost seemed like, I mean, if I could go around, if you had like sent me like in a little helicopter or something to fly around and find like a good location, I probably would have spotted that one and put that on the short list.
It was perfect because also too, we were just closer to the Eiffel Tower, so it was bigger and yeah, it was perfect. This was just literally pure luck that we just happened to land on it. So Brian was very adamant about going up and getting a video of us because, and I didn't think that he was gonna propose. Not once did I, because we didn't have a lot of opportunities where we felt safe to put our phone on the tripod and kind of walk away from it to get a shot of just us. And we only did that one other time.
We did it in Glendalough.
Yeah, in Glendalough in Ireland.
This shot here, right here that you guys are watching, was the shot that I sort of had in mind to trick her, essentially. I'm like, you know that shot that we did? We don't have many of those in these vlogs, so maybe we should sort of recreate that. This is beautiful, the Eiffel Tower in the background. We'll just go and we'll just stand there for a moment or whatever, and then we can...
He was very adamant about that, and I also wanted that shot too. I thought it would be perfect. So we go to set it up, and it's...
There's just like a chair there.
Yeah, there's like a chair and there's some benches and there's like a few runners, but not very many people. So we just kind of like put the tripod up with the phone and we walk, and we're in Paris and we're tourists, so we're still being careful. And we like hug and kiss, whatever. And then I immediately turn around and grab the phone.
Yep, she's too concerned about the phone. So before I can even start to get into the conversation, she heads back and turns the camera off. Well, at this point, I'm kind of like, how do I do this? Like, I don't want her to be suspicious, but how do I tell her, like, no, we need to do that again? So I grab it back and I'm trying to talk to her as I'm like fiddling with the phone to try to set it back up. Because we just had like, if you guys don't know, all of these vlogs that you're watching were just filmed on an iPhone or on Lauren's phone.
Yeah.
And we just had this little like phone tripod. And as I'm fiddling with it, the tripod broke. The part that connects, like holds in the phone. So at this point, I'm like, oh no, like we found the perfect place. We were this close to like having the moment. Nobody's around. Like this is the time I gotta do it now. If I don't do it now, like when is this gonna happen?
Yeah.
We're only gonna be heading into like busier areas. So you like, I don't even remember, you like jury rigged it with like a charger?
I had like, we always carried like spare chargers, and I think I had a hair tie, and I just kind of like figured it out, and it was still kind of breezy a bit, but it stayed on. So we just kind of did the best that we could.
Well, I want to say, I don't even remember. I think it was the third attempt. I'm thinking that there were 3. And I don't remember if the second one, if the phone fell or if it was just...
Well, I think as we were trying to like get it set up, the phone fell. The wind got it. But it's also raining today.
No, but just one more. But then finally, we came to the actual one. Now with the added fear that I'm gonna turn around in this phone, because like Lauren said, literally a gust of wind would have knocked it over. This thing was hanging on
by a thread. Yeah.
So, the camera, I'm hoping the camera's up. I don't know, but we start talking. It's this conversation you're seeing now, fast forwarded because it was quite a while to get into it. But then finally, like the moment came, and you clearly didn't believe me.
Okay, so I said, because he was saying all these sweet things, and I jokingly said, I'm not interrupting a proposal, am I? And like, because I would like joke around for like the last year, I would joke around with him about like silly little things like that. Like, oh, you're gonna propose here or whatever. But it was purely a joke. And this time he didn't say, no, he just like paused. And then I was like, oh my God. And then he continued, you got down on one knee. And I said, sure. No. I said, of course. I said, yes.
Yeah, I don't remember your exact. Yeah, I think you did say, yeah.
Of course, well, obviously I said yes.
And then, so we stood up, I think we hugged, but what was interesting is it was clear to me that she thought that this was just spontaneous, like me doing this off the cuff, not having planned it, just thinking, oh, we're in Paris, like I'll do this now. But a little bit into like standing there, like she kept asking like, is this real? Is this real? And then when I revealed to her, or I think you asked me, right? Like, do my parents know?
Yeah, I said like, does my family know? And he said, yeah, I asked your dad in Wisconsin and I called your other dad the other night. And like I bought the ring with like, I think he said like, I already have the ring and he showed me a picture, whatever. But as soon as I heard him say that he had already talked to my parents and my family knew, all of the emotions and everything just came out at once and I just sobbed, happy tears. And I just basically just didn't want Brian to feel any pressure like he had been leading me on and telling me that there was any expectation for him to propose because we were in Paris. I always wanted him to propose when he was ready and when it was the right time.
Yeah.
So I didn't want him to have just like sneakily behind my back got a ring and then just do it just because it felt right. I wanted it to be like, I wanted there to be like lots of thought behind it and make sure that he knew, and it was extremely important that my family knew too. Also too, like the money thing was a big deal. We were literally planning a European trip for 3 months. It is expensive. So I was like, no, don't, like that can come later. We can do it whenever. So, but yeah, after I heard all of that and knew it was planned, I just cried for like a long time and it was great. And then we had all of the excitement of him just telling me how he did it and how he went with his sister in September, like, you know, a month and a half before we even left to go get the ring. And I remember that day, I remember him saying, oh, I'm gonna go with Stephanie to go do something. Yeah. Not having any idea that he was like going ring shopping.
Yeah, I think, yeah, just finding that spot, like going back, the phone was still in place. Nobody had come by the entire time. I mean, it was literally like, I think all of the bad luck from the travel day curse. And don't get me wrong, the travel day curse came back with a vengeance. You will see that in the very next vlog.
And it continued until the end.
Yeah, it absolutely continued until the end. Yeah, plenty more vlogs coming, plenty more of us just struggling every few days. But regardless, we did have good luck in that moment. It was great. And it was actually even more fortunate. As we were standing there talking, somebody came up and told us that we had to leave. So if we had waited just a few more minutes, we would have had to have left that area. I forget what time it was, like 7 o'clock or something. But
it was like a garden that was closing. They were closing like the gates basically.
Yes, us and like one other couple like we had to exit. But it was fine. Everything was great. So we walked over to like a bridge nearby, took some engagement announcement photos. Lauren posted about it. And then we got to go, we went out to dinner and then we went to Crazy Horse, and it was one of the few things on this trip that we probably went out of budget for, but we wanted to see.
Worth every penny though.
Oh my God, what an incredible show, seriously.
Also too, not only just the show, but it was just so fun to like, we were celebrating our engagement. The show provides a bottle of champagne, so we're like drinking the champagne and this like super cool Parisian art experience that we were seeing. Yeah. And I really don't know if I've ever been happier. Like it was
a great night.
It was the best.
Yeah. I do have to say though, the end of the night was not so great because when we left Crazy Horse, we had some issues.
So Crazy Horse, the show was from like, what, maybe 10 to, I think it was at 2 hours, 10 to midnight. Yeah. So we get out at midnight and we're like, obviously we're gonna take the metro back. So we go to the metro, everything is closed. Yeah, we probably should have done our research, but it's Paris. It was a Thursday night, I believe.
Yeah, and it was only maybe 12:15 or something.
Yeah, it was like midnight. And it's a Thursday, so we were like, okay, well, there's got to be Ubers. Not an Uber in sight. Nothing. I don't
know how Robin Thicke, I don't know if anybody knows Robin Thicke, but he was just randomly there.
Yeah, we also saw Robin Thicke, and we didn't even really know who he was.
It was like the next day, you're like, you knew he was familiar, but you didn't place it until the next day. You're like, oh, Robin Thicke.
Yeah, exactly. But we were like, okay, we need to find an Uber, but it was was it an hour 30?
Hour 30, maybe an hour 15 from our hotel.
An hour 15 walk, like, I don't know, maybe 20-minute Uber drive. So we just start walking in that direction, and we're walking, and every 5-10 minutes we are trying the Uber app again. And we were fine with it. We were still happy. We were excited. Of course, it was raining like off and on. But at some point, we realized that our phones were low on battery, and our external chargers, we had used them up because we had like, it was our biggest day in Paris. And then we encountered kind of like the sketchy guy. Yeah,
there was a group of like 3 or 4 guys, and it's about 1:30, 1:45 at this point. And we just like hit this one street corner and we walk past them. And one of the guys like leaves his group and starts following us and just starts shouting like, "Monsieur, Monsieur," but not in like a, oh, maybe like you dropped something kind of way. It was clearly antagonistic. So, you know, we just kind of got a little closer together, picked up our pace a bit, just ignored him, kept walking. He followed maybe a block and a half, and then he left. But other than that, that was really legitimately the only sort of heart beating, kind of fast, scary, sketchy moment in our entire time in Paris.
Yeah, but we eventually lost this guy, and by a miracle, we booked like an Uber XL because I was the only one. So it was this guy, and it's like an 8-seat like van.
Do you remember too that we had 14, I mean, there were temporary charges that got reversed, but like, we had 14 charges on the credit card for Uber, because as long as it starts to connect you with the driver, it charges you. And then we had like 4 drivers that we connected with, but they canceled on us. So, and then we saw like a bunch of Bolt cars going by, and so we tried to download it, and like it wouldn't accept our payment, even though a temporary charge went through. So like it did accept our payment, but it wouldn't let us book anything.
And at this point, both of us have 7% battery on our phones.
That's bad.
So we, by the grace of God, got the Uber and got back to our hotel. And by this point, it was like 3:45, 3:30, 3:45.
Maybe 2:45, something like that. It was definitely, it was in that hour. It was like something.
It was so, that's probably why I don't remember, is because it was just like.
It was super late.
Super late.
And it was, it was this huge vehicle that like could have seated maybe 12 people in the back. And so it was just like us 2.
And yeah, but we got back and we immediately passed out. And then the next day we had one of the closest travel.
Oh, they'll see that.
Travel mishaps.
They'll see that soon.
That you'll see.
Yeah.
So.
That was sort of.
That's the story of our engagement.
Yes. I mean, obviously it was a night we will never, ever forget. Incredibly special. Actually, we should, I don't think we have that picture of you, but we should.
No, I think we're going to put it on that wall.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Yeah.
You could, I don't know if you guys can see, I'll sort of tilt this up. Here's a little, you might see some of these as thumbnails for future vlogs. This
is a picture of us in every country that we went. And there's 2 from Paris, just because I had 15 friends. But anyways, yeah, if you're curious about like the wedding or what's happening, we are first just still settling here in Colorado. We completely uprooted our lives to go to Europe. Best decision of our entire lives. Now we're just kind of figuring out what normal life is, and then we'll be planning our wedding.
And future trips, of course.
I can't imagine not doing another big trip. It's just, it changed us in such a beautiful and amazing way. And we actually plan for our honeymoon to be a really extraordinary, awesome trip.
Yeah, that'll be an awesome one too.
That we'll obviously share with you guys.
Yes.
So, thank you again for all of your love and your kindness. And we had seen even just like other videos too, people saying like, you guys are meant to be together, and we agree.
Yeah, we do. And thank you, by the way. I mean, we know this is like a break from the vlogs, so thank you for letting us sort of be a little self-indulgent, and again, just like, we realize it's just us talking about like us. But yeah, it was really just, we know that you guys have been following us on this entire journey, and then we hit like this big moment, and we just felt kind of weird like just having it in one small part of the video and then moving on from it without giving any kind of context, because we really didn't film a lot in the moments before or like right after, because we were just celebrating and calling family.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
So there would be this gap. There would just like randomly be like us getting engaged, and then some crazy horse stuff, and then maybe like one shot of us in an Uber. So we just thought we would just do it justice and maybe just give the full context, and then back to the vlogs after this.
And it's not like we intentionally decided we're not gonna vlog after this. It just honestly didn't even come to my mind. I was just like, let's go get a picture and let's call our families. Let's get dinner, let's go to Crazy Horse, let's go home. That's just kind of like how the night went.
Some moments in the trip were like that, you know. There might be some random gaps, you know. You might find like it's just like the next day and it's like, what did they do for the rest of that evening? And there are just moments on the trip where we just kind of wanted to be present. And obviously right after you get engaged probably wasn't the moment to be like, okay, cool, well, we're just going to keep filming every moment. We wanted to soak it in. And
yeah, and for it to just be authentic however we felt.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, that is it. We will see you in the next vlog as the journey continues. We leave Paris, and next up is maybe a place that not a lot of people are familiar with, but it's a place that we went to for a very specific reason that you'll find out. Very near and dear to Lauren's heart and Lauren's family. So yeah, we will see you very, very soon. Again, thank you for all of the comments that you guys left in the last video. But please, like, if you left them in the last video, there's no need, just because this is like a, you know, getting engaged in Paris kind of video. We appreciate them in that video. We don't need like more of that, because I feel really weird about it, because like we're doing
no,
this
I think if you want to tell us congratulations.
No, I know, but we're not doing it to get congratulations or things.
No,
like that.
I don't think you need to explain it. You already said that.
Okay, cool. So we'll see you in the next one. You want to do the thing?
Do you want to say thank you again?